Good morning, everyone. So yesterday we have covered AWS global infrastructure. So what are the common points in this global infrastructure? Can anyone mention which components of the global infrastructure we have covered yesterday? Yes, origin. I hope my screen is visible to everyone. Yes, data center, cache. We covered cloud service model, infrastructure as service, software as service, platform as service. So yesterday, the last topic that we discussed, and from where I have to continue, it was selection of region and today's agenda. So I have covered cloud computing, advantages of AWS, AWS services overview, global infrastructure. I will be completing it today. Then how to create AWS free tier account. And then we will be moving on to the first category of our services, that is compute category. And we will be talking about EC2 and launching Linux EC2 instance. So we will be talking about these two topics: how to create your free tier account and what is EC2 service. It is coming under compute category, and how to launch Linux EC2 instance. I hope the agenda is clear to everyone. Yesterday, the topic that I was discussing, region selection. And the topics that we covered in global infrastructure. First one is region. It is a physical geographical area where AWS is setting up its data center. Then inside region, there are multiple availability zones for fault tolerant architecture for disaster and recovery, that if one location fails, your resources within the region are up and running from other locations. Then we talked about data center. AWS availability zone is having a lot of data center, multiple data center are present in one AZ. And what data centers are storing? Data centers are actually the spot of for servers. The servers reside in data centers, and servers are the devices where the AWS services are operational. So AWS services are operating on servers. Then we talked about edge location. So edge location These are the cache, which is used to deliver the content closer to the user. And it is caching frequently accessed content. And then we have regional edge cache. It is also a cache, but it is storing infrequently accessed data. And these two collectively are known as points of presence. And yesterday we were discussing region selection, and we discussed 2 factors out of 4. The first factor is latency. So we will be selecting a region where the users will be experiencing low latency. Then second, data governance and regulation. So we will be selecting that region which is fulfilling our data governance law and regulations. Now, third factor that I'll be discussing, cost. And the fourth factor is service availability. Till here, any problem to anyone? Is there any problem to anyone till here? Any query? So let us discuss again the first part, latency. I gave the example of Hindi website. So I have 3 regions, North Virginia, London region, and Mumbai region. I have a website in Hindi. It is containing Hindi content. So I know that I will be getting maximum visitors to my website from this location. So all my customers will be closer to this location as compared to North Virginia and London. So I will be hosting my website in Mumbai region rather than these two. So this is how we select our region. We make the choice of our region based on the latency. We want to deploy, we want to deliver the content closer to the user to reduce the latency and to improve the user experience. Is this clear? Then second factor is data governance. So data rules I'm writing in short. So you have again 3 region. So the governance rule says the government of UK wants to save the data in London region. It should not leave the territorial boundary of London. So government of UK will select London region to save the data. So North Virginia and Singapore region will not be selected because it will be against data rules or data regulation, data governance law that data should not leave London region. So we will be selecting this one. Then we have third part, cost. Suppose I am using a service. So I am using a storage service, for example, and I am having 3 regions, North Virginia, again London and Mumbai. The cost of the saving is not same in all region. The cost of the saving, the cost of the service is actually different in different region. For example, if I talk about storage cost, so for per GB per month, suppose it is $20 here, it is $50 here, and it is $80 here. So for the same service, storage service, if you don't have any data regulation law or any other problem, latency problem, if you don't have these kind of things, then for 1 GB, 1 month, you have to pay $20 in North Virginia, $50 in London, and $80 in Mumbai. So which region you will be selecting? Which region you will be selecting? Can I get the answer in the chat box? Yes, we will be selecting North Virginia region. To optimize our cost, we will be selecting the region which is offering least cost to the same service. So if two are factors, the factors which I have discussed previously, if these two factors are not important, or if these factors are none of your concern, then you can select the region which is offering you least cost. I hope this is clear. And the last one is service availability. So what do you mean by service availability? That all the services in all the regions are not working. All the services in all the regions are not working. For example, if there is a particular service S1, it is available in North Virginia region, but it is not available in London region. So here, S1 service, for example, it is a particular service. It is operational in S3, sorry, in North Virginia, but it is not working in London region. It is not available here for London region. And suppose you have to work on S1, you have to use this S1 service. So obviously you will be selecting North Virginia region because the service is operational here. North London region is not offering this service, so you will not be selecting this one. So the services which are the regions which are actually launched recently, there are some services which are under testing phase, which are going on through the testing phase. So some of the services at this stage might not be available in all the regions. So you have to select the region where the service is operational. Are all these factors clear to everyone? How to select a region? So we have 4 factors, and this is how we are making region selection. Any problem to anyone? So let us move towards the second part. So theoretical part is over. Let us now move on to the practical part. To have the practical implementation of these services, to use these services, you have to create a free tier account. So I have already created the account, but I'll be showing you, I'll be providing the link as well. So let us discuss all these steps. So you have to click on aws.amazon.com, or simply you can create AWS management console. So rather than aws.amazon.com, you can use AWS management console. So the account name is management console. And there is a button you can click on it, which says create an AWS account. So after clicking on this, you have to complete the sign up process. So includes 5 simple steps. First step is to create the email ID. To provide the email ID and the account name, the display name, and you need to verify the ID with the help of the OTP that you will be receiving on your email address. After verifying your email, it is just the regular sign up. You need to set your password. So first step is setting your password after providing your email ID. After setting your credentials, the next step is to provide your contact information. And here, the business purpose you should not select. So they are asking you why you are creating this account. So please select personal, that you have to explore AWS services for your personal use. You are creating this account. Provide your name, country name, address. Then after providing your contact information, step number 3 is your billing information. Your banking details are required. But AWS will never do any auto deduction. So feel free to provide your banking details. It is just like AWS wants to confirm that yes, you have an account which is active, and that account is linked to that bank account is linked to your AWS account. Because this account is free for 12 months for some of the services up to certain limits. After 1 year, this account will become chargeable. So AWS wants to make sure that you have an account which is active. So for Indian users, earlier RuPay card was not accepted, but now they are accepting RuPay card as well. And providing the information is very secure. I have been using AWS account since 2017, and I have never faced any problem regarding my banking details. AWS will deduct $1 from your account just to check whether your account is active or dormant. And after 3-4 days, that $1 is also refunded back to your account. PAN number is not means it is not a required field, so you can skip it. Then you verify your mobile number, you verify your identity. And after that, next step is select basic support. So there are various supports depending upon the business workload that you want to run on AWS. Since you will not be running any business workload there, you are using it for your personal use. So select the basic support, which is free of cost. And after that, you can complete your sign up. So when you complete your sign up, you will be getting congratulations message, and you can go to AWS Management Console, use your credentials to log in. So it is a regular sign up containing 5 steps, including 5 steps. So please make sure that if you want to learn AWS, if you want to explore services here, you should create this account. So how many of you have already created this account? Can you please raise your hand? Oh, great. So those who don't have, make sure that you are creating it. So it is AWS Management Console. So Thomas has the account, Nathan has this account. Praveen is also working on AWS services. Great. So this is the Management Console page. So click on sign in. So if you have the account, you can sign in. But if you don't have the account, you can create a new account from here. And then you have to complete all the process, all the steps which I have discussed through my PDF. Let me sign into my existing account. So this is the account console home. This is the services which I have used recently. And here, if you see the logo of AWS, it is a link to this home only. When you click on these services, you can see different categories of services on the left hand side, and the right hand side shows recently visited service. So if you want to use analytics service in AWS, you click on it and you will be getting all the services for data analytics. Athena, Cloud Search, EMR, Glue, Brew, Kinesis, MSK, QuickSight, Redshift. So for cost management, you are getting all the services. Compute, you are getting all the services. So here services are organized category wise. So if you want to explore machine learning services, IoT, quantum technology, security, identity, and compliance. So these services are organized category wise. So select a category and then select a service. So when you select a category, on the right hand side, services in that category, it will be showing up. So if suppose you want to make the service favorite, just hover the mouse over the service name and there is a star. So when you click on this star, your service, you are making your service favorite and it will be appearing here. So you can see I get the badge. You are getting the shortcut to directly access this service. This is your display name on the top right corner. And when you click on this display name, you will be getting your account detail. You have the account ID. So this is the billing dashboard. If you want to know, if you have any problem regarding billing, and if you know that, if you want to know what will be your bill for the current month or what will be the forecast of your bill depending upon the current usage. So you can view here AWS summary. I don't have the bill right now because I'm using AWS credit. Then highest cost service, you can check which service is actually involving highest expenditure from your side. So cost by service, so the which services you are using and what is the cost involved per service. So you can get the details, the entire summary of your billing on this dashboard. And if you find any problem, you can connect to AWS support to query that why are you getting this much bill. Next, near my display name, can you see this North Virginia? So when you click on this, it will provide you the list of the region. So 32 active regions, it is providing you the list. And you can connect to any region of your choice. So for my account, 11 regions are not enabled. I have only these regions enabled. So if I need to connect to Oregon region, I can simply click on it and connect to Oregon region. If I need to connect to Mumbai region, I can click on Mumbai region. So what is this going global in minutes? I'm connected to global data centers every time I'm selecting a particular region. So what is this known as? It is known as going global in minutes. I hope this is clear to everyone. Now we will be talking about a service which is used, I think, by all the companies if they are using AWS. So that service is used by almost every customers of AWS, and that service is known as EC2. And EC2 is coming under the category of compute. So EC2 is Elastic Compute Cloud. So here it is providing you the compute resource. So cloud-based compute resource you are getting, which is elastic in nature. Elastic means, suppose if you have the requirement of 5 compute devices, then you can simply request for this 5 compute devices, you will be getting this within minutes. And if you want to return 2 resources, then you can return these resources very easily. Means depending upon your demand, you can increase and decrease the number of resources in your account. So let me talk about the service EC2. So EC2 stands for Elastic Compute Cloud. And this service is coming under which category? It is coming under compute category. And compute category is providing you the compute resources for processing your data. So when you click on compute category on the services, you can see there are a lot of compute services. You have AWS App Runner, Batch, EC2, Image Builder, Elastic Beanstalk, Lambda, Lightsail, Outpost. So you have a lot of compute services which are offered by AWS. So in this, we'll be talking about EC2. So when you hover your mouse over EC2, you can see the description that virtual servers in the cloud. That it is providing you what? It is providing you virtual servers. So in short, or in simple language, you can say that this service is providing you virtual machines. Virtual computer, software-based computer, this service is providing you. And you can use these virtual machines to host your website, to host your application. You can store your data on it. And the virtual machine in EC2, we are using a term known as instances. So one virtual machine is one instance in EC2. This is the terminology that we are using. Why are you using these virtual machines? These virtual machines are nothing but these are your software-based computer. Software-based computers or compute resources. So when these are software-based computers, this EC2 instance will have operating system, will have processor, then RAM, storage, all the components that are present in your normal laptop, all the components will be present here as well. So Sridhar, you are not getting the client here. So in virtual machines, if you are talking about VMware, you are getting server as well as client, right? But here with AWS, EC2 is providing you only virtual servers. You are not getting the client machine. Then how to get these computers, how to get these virtual machines from EC2? You have to launch an instance. You have to launch an instance. For example, a quick question from all of you. If you want to purchase a laptop, what will you tell to the dealer? You are You are going to purchase a laptop. So you went to the dealer shop and you have an interaction with the dealer. So what you will be telling the dealer that what kind of machine you want. Yes, configuration or your specification. So specification includes, so what will you tell? What kind of laptop you want to have? You will be telling that you want to have a laptop with a particular operating system. Yes, Nathan. So you talk about operating system, then you talk about processor or the size, right? Or in the processing power, let me simply say configuration of your processor. Then you talk about that you want to have a laptop with a particular value of RAM. Then you talk about storage, hard disk, whether you want to have HDD, SSD, and SSD, then how much storage you require. And yes, finally the cost. So when you are asking for virtual machine from AWS, right? So AWS is doing what? It is actually hosting, it is actually owning the hardware. So the hardware server, which we call it as host, it is running in the data center of AWS. So it is owned by AWS. And if you want to use the server, you will be getting the server in the software form. And you are getting, if you want to use this hardware, so you will be using this hardware through EC2 instances, through these virtual machines. So you are getting, the customers are getting the machine in the form of software. So since you are asking for this machine from AWS, so you need to provide your specification. So how you are providing your specification? For selecting operating system, you need to select a template, and that template is known as AMI, Amazon Machine Image. So this is a template which contains operating system details, pre-installed softwares, plus two extra things are also there that I will be discussing when I'll be covering AMI in detail. Yes, you can do that. So that is why virtual machines, these EC2 instances are very much popular, Sridhar. Then for telling processor configuration, we are selecting instance type. And instance type is including your processor details, the generation of processor, size of processor, family, and RAM. So these type of details you are providing through instance type. Then for the hard disk, you have to configure storage, how many drives you want to have. So for example, in Windows, you have C drive, D drive, E drive. Sridhar, why can't you try this? And you have to pay for the high configuration system. These are not under free tier eligibility.
Yeah, means is it supports like that way?
You can try. I have never tried installing game on it, honestly speaking.
See, why we are using this, which our requirement should satisfy, right?
So I'll
Is
be
my
telling
question
you,
valid?
I will be telling you why we are using these instances. Just wait for some time, right? I'll be telling,
Okay,
I'll be answering your question.
my question is valid, right?
Yes, your question is valid and I'll be answering it. No problem. So here If you are selecting OS, then you have the Amazon machine image. You have to select this template. Then processor configuration and RAM, it is the instance type, and storage, you are getting the storage. Now, apart from all these things, you need to configure some extra details. So extra details are from AWS end. So extra details are that you need to select a firewall. So to keep your EC2 instance, to keep your virtual machine safe and secure, you are using a firewall, and the firewall is known as security group. So if you want to block any incoming request to your server, and if you want to block or allow any outgoing response, then you can use this firewall, and the firewall is known as security group. If you want to block a request coming from a particular IP, the malicious IP, then you can block that request. And there is a password. So I call this as password in layman language. And the password, the credentials for your login is key pair. So you are getting the password in the form of encrypted file. And the extension of this file is either .pem or .ppk. And this key pair, you are actually generating two keys here. The one key is the public key and the other key is the private key. So this is public key and private key. So you encrypt the data with public key. Encrypt means converting your data into a non-readable format. So data is encrypted using public key, and you decrypt that data using private key. And you can share your public key, but you cannot share your private key. So here, this is the key that you will be downloading on your system, because you want to keep your private key with you. Public key, it is stored with AWS. So when you are trying to log into your system, you need to provide this private key. So AWS takes your private key and it matches with the corresponding public key. If these two matches, then you will be considered as an authentic user. Your authentication will succeed. And you will be allowed to log into your system. And if it is not matching, then your authentication failed. And you are encrypting your password with the help of asymmetric algorithm, which is known as RSA. So this is the algorithm that you are using to encrypt your password. And in short form, let me share what is encryption. So if I'm writing cat here, so everyone knows that I'm talking about an animal, and everyone can imagine that what kind of animal I'm talking about. So when you are able to understand the meaning of a text, it is known as plain text. You can comprehend it. But if I write ECV, you don't know what is this. You cannot comprehend this. You cannot derive the meaning of it. So the text which you are not able to decipher, or which you are not able to derive the meaning from, so that text is known as ciphertext or encrypted text. So this is ECV is nothing but the cat only. So how I'm reaching to this? So I have taken the place value of all the characters. So place value of C is 3, A is 1, and T is 20. So I have added 2 to the place value of all the characters, and now I got 5. So 5 is the place value of E. I got 3. place value of C. I got 22, place value of E. Now, how I have converted CAD to ECV by adding. So this addition is nothing but my algorithm. The logic which I have used to convert my plain text to ciphertext. And this shift that by how much I'm shifting the character position. So this shift is known as key. This shift is known as key. So if this is your password, you want to encrypt your password so that no one will able to access it. So how it is converted? Using some algorithm, and here we are using the algorithm RSA, and we are using key for encryption and for decryption. If I want to go back, then key is same, but the algorithm changes. The logic is actually having some change in it. It is -2. So you can have same key or you can have different key for encryption and decryption. And here we are using different key. So for encryption, we are using public key. And for decryption means from plain ciphertext going back to plain text, going back to our original text, it is known as decryption. We are using private key. So private key we always keep with ourselves, because why we are using private key? To convert my plain ciphertext to plain text. And this plain text is very important. So I don't want anyone to read my plain text. That is why I'm keeping private key with me. And whenever we are trying to log into our system, we provide private key to AWS. AWS matches with the corresponding public key. If the key matches, then authentication is successful. Clear to everyone? Is this clear? And just like your image file is having different extensions, .jpg, .bmp, .png. So you are having these two extensions for your key pair file, .pem and .pp. So let us try to launch an EC2 instance. So let me use my management console, and here on the search bar, you can type EC2 directly, or you can go to services, compute, and then search the service. So I prefer to go to the service straight away. So type EC2 and you are getting this service in the result. So click on this service name. And you are redirected to the dashboard of EC2 instance. So you can see the details that one EC2 instance is running, auto scaling group that we will be talking about later on, how many instances are there in total, elastic IP address, then load balancer, snapshot, volume, security group, key pairs, so and so. So to launch and if you want to check for various options on this EC2 dashboard, you can scroll down the left hand side pane and you can see you have all the details. Auto scaling group is also coming under EC2, load balancing, networking and security. You have the EBS. So EBS is for storage. So now let us launch an instance. So here you see the orange link here. It is to launch your instance. You click on this link and you will be redirected to a page where you need to submit your requirement, your specification. So AWS is asking what kind of machine you want to have from us. So we will be providing our specification here. So first, for giving an identity to our machine, we are giving the name. Because if several machines are running in my account, how to identify which machine is used for which purpose? So you can give the name to your machine, to your instance, so that you can search it effectively. So I am launching a Linux machine. So let me write Linux VM or Linux server. Then the second thing is to select the OS. And for that, you have to select a template. If you have worked on VMware, then to launch virtual machine, you are supposed to use ISO images, disk images. So it is similar to that, those disk images. So it is known as Amazon machine image. It is a template which contains operating system details plus some of the pre-installed softwares. And it is providing you the permission as well that you can launch your EC2 instance using this template. It is providing you permission as well. So I'm selecting Amazon Linux only, and there are a lot of options, lot of templates provided to me by AWS. And we call this list of the template, we are calling it as quick start. So from the quick start, I can select any template that I want. And if you want to be in the free tier eligibility, you can check free tier eligible. So I'm selecting Linux machine. So Amazon Linux 2023. Then the second option is to select the instance type, the processor configuration along with RAM. So here it is saying T2.micro. And what it is saying, that family T2, one virtual CPU, 1 GB memory. So it is telling us about the processor configuration plus RAM. So here, if I say that this is T2.micro, so it is similar to your Intel. So you have Core i7, then you have AMD Ryzen 7. So it is similar to these type of naming as well. So T here is corresponding to the family. And here T is coming under the family of general purpose instance type. So if you want to have high configuration system, you can change the family. So you can change C family for high performing processors. If you want to have more RAM, then you can use memory optimized. If you want to have more storage, you can use storage optimized. So there are different classes of instance type that we will be discussing later on. 2 is the generation, like you have 7, 3, 5. So here 2 is the generation and micro is the size. Size means it is talking about the number of cores, number of virtual CPUs. And micro means that it has how many CPU? It has only one core. It is a single core processor, one virtual CPU. And a RAM is 1 GB RAM. And here, if you want to select other configuration instance type, so you have T3.2x large. So 2x large, you have 8 virtual core and 32 GB RAM. C5 large, so 2 virtual CPU and 4 GB RAM. 12x large, 24x large, so 192 GB RAM and 96 virtual cores. So depending upon your requirement, you can select any of the instance type. Because this is only a demo, I'm using T2.micro only. Excuse me. Now the key pair, it is for the login. So you can create a new key pair. For the first time, you will not be having any key pair in your account. expand this drop down list. So you have a default value that proceed without a key pair, because password is always optional. You can proceed without a password as well, but it is not recommended because it is not secure. So either you can proceed without a key pair or you create a key pair from here. You write the key pair name and RSA, either PEM or PPK. So if you are Mac OS, if you are Mac users or Linux users, then you should download .pem file. Even Windows user 10 and 11, Windows 10 and 11 users can use .pem file. If you have PowerShell, then you can use .pem file. But for other versions of Windows, so Windows 8, Windows 7, so lower version of Windows, you have to download .ppk. So for the terminal, you have to use .pem, and for lower version of Windows, you have to use .ppk. Is this clear? And you can use this PEM file from your terminal to connect to your system. And .ppk, you can use this .ppk if you want to connect with an open SSH client, which is known as PuTTY. So in this demo, I will be showing you the usage of PEM file. And you can create a key pair and private keys downloaded to your system. So right now, I will not be creating this key pair because I already have. But if you want, you can just give the name here, then create key pair, select the file format, that's it. So I am selecting a key pair which is already there in my account. From your laptop, Sridhar. Then network settings, I will not be changing any default settings because I have not talked about VPC and subnet. When we will be talking about VPC and subnet, then I'll be showing you how to edit this portion. But the portion which is very much important is the security group. It is like the security guard. So if I take the example of tea, so this is the strainer. And this is your cup. And you want to pour tea. So a strainer will block tea leaves. So your tea leaves will be here. And it will allow the liquid to pass through. So what a strainer is doing, it is blocking some item and it is allowing other items to pass through. Right? So here, the strainer is acting as a security guard or the firewall. So if you have your EC2 instance and you want to block some of the request that is coming to your server, so you can use a security group. So security group will allow some of the request and will block other requests to keep your EC2 instance secure. And how it is allowing and denying? If you want to allow a particular traffic, then you have to add rule to the security group. So these are the rules. So because I want to log into my Linux machine, so when you are logging into the Linux machine, so for secure connectivity, you have to use this protocol which is known as SSH or the secure shell. Means whenever you are getting an SSH request, someone is trying to connect with your machine. from this IP address. So if you want anyone to connect with your system, you use anywhere 0.0.0/0 means all IPs are allowed. But if you want to customize it, if you want to have a closer security group, then you can use that only from this IP address. We can have connectivity to my machine, or you can customize. If you want to give the permission, if you want to allow a particular IP address to connect with your machine, you can customize and give the IP address name. But right now I'm using anywhere. If your EC2 instance is hosting a website, so for website, if you want to connect with your website, the users are sending HTTP or HTTPS request. It is the web request. Then if you want to accept HTTP and HTTPS traffic from internet, allow. So when you are selecting this, you are allowing. If it is not selected, it is denied. So if you are adding rule, it is allowed. And if rule is not there, by default, it is denied. Yes, Shravan, you can give. Sridhar, laptop can be Mac or Windows or Linux. You can use any operating system. This I have discussed that PEM file for Linux, Mac users, Linux users, and Windows users having PowerShell. Is this security group clear to everyone? Then we have storage. So by default, I am getting this 8 GB as a root volume. So this 8 GB is included within my AMI, and it is known as block device mapping. So how I am automatically getting this 8 GB? Because this is the amount which is required to boot my operating system. That is why I am calling it as root volume. For Windows user, it is like C drive of your system. So automatically you are getting 8 GB because it is mentioned in the AMI that this operating system requires 8 GB for booting up. So you are getting root volume. The volume means it is a drive. So it is a storage drive which is used to boot your volume, boot your operating system. If you want, you can increase and decrease the size. If you want to add more volume, suppose if you want to have 100 GB drive, so you can use 100 GB drive, right? You can add more volume, you can add more volume. So by default, you are getting 8 GB. GP3 is the storage type. So you have GP3 general purpose. If you want to have faster SSD, you have provisioned IOPS. If you want to use HDD, then you have throughput optimized or cold HDD. Then I will be discussing advanced details tomorrow because time is not there. I don't have sufficient time to explain advanced details. But what we have discussed here, storage, security group, that is firewall, key pair, then instance type, and AMI. After providing this information, you can launch your instance. And you can see the instance is launched, and I can view my instance. So you scroll down and you view all instances. So my Linux virtual machine, you can see it is in pending state, means the operating system is booting up. Whenever you are getting any resource from AWS, you are getting either a name of that resource or resource ID. So you are getting a unique instance ID. And this is the name of my machine. And the instance type is t2.micro. So you can see now it is running. And when you select the server, you are getting details of it. So public IP address you are getting, private IP address you are getting, DNS, host name. Then if you want to get security details, then you can check that security group is here. Storage, I'm having only one drive, which is 8 GB and it is attached to my system. It is not encrypted. If you want, you can encrypt your secondary volumes as well. And you can see that status check. So EC2 is checking your server, whether your server is responding or not. If we are getting a response, then if there is no problem with the server, it is healthy, you are getting 2 by 2 checks passed. But if there is some problem with your server, it is unhealthy, you will not be getting this checks passed, and you will realize that this is not the healthy instance, and if you want, you can replace it. I hope this is clear to everyone. How to connect with your instance, I'll be showing it tomorrow. And you can select the instance state, click on this instance state, and you can stop the instance. Please don't keep your instance running, otherwise you will get charged for it. So stop your instance, select your instance, go to instance state and stop your instance or terminate it. If you want to give the instance back, you can terminate instance. I hope this is clear. Sridhar, the training is not for 5 days. 5 days it is free. After on 6th day, only registered candidates will be allowed to access this class. No, we are not having this session on Saturday. We'll be having session on Monday instead. You can preserve the storage drive. Shravan. You can preserve the data. You can take the backup of the data using a snapshot. This I will be talking about when covering storage. Any other query? I hope that's it. Let us wind up. Yes, please.
Regarding my query, you can check and let me know. Or
your voice is not clear to me. Can you please be a little louder?
Regarding my question, you said you will answer that. You will check and let me know.
Okay. So what we are doing, Sridhar, here, we are actually using servers. It is not like your end computer. It is not like your laptop. So your laptop is not a server, right? So you are installing the application and you are playing game on it. But we are using these virtual machines as a server. If I want to host my website, where I will be hosting my website there. If I want to host my gaming application, where I'll be hosting my gaming application on this server. And suppose if you want to play the game, right? So you can access the application which is running on my EC2 instance, and you can play the game from your laptop. Clear to you?
Yeah. See, why I'm asking is, for in order to play games, I need to buy a high-end configuration, which costs me a lot of amount.
Yes.
So it's not to come down with some manageable. That can work out like that.
So we are not using these machines as a client. We are using these machines as a server to host our applications. So our applications will be hosted there, and user, if they want to connect with, suppose I have a gaming application. If you want to connect with my gaming application, you need to have high configuration system of yours.
Correct.
But EC2 instance I am using to host my application. Is this clear?
Correct. Sir, can you use an high-end EC2 instance to host install the game on that?
Yes. Okay. You can try. Honestly speaking, I have never tried. You can try. But we are using it for hosting our resources, whether it can be file, whether it can be database, whether it can be our application.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
So thank you everyone for being here. Have a good day. See you all tomorrow. Bye everyone.